Welcome back for the complete story for Metal Gear. Now, once again, we're going to be doing the entire saga here, and it's already a super long video, so we had to condense it down as tight as possible. That being said, we are primarily only going to be focusing on Big Boss and Solid Snake. And if you guys do want to know more about the individual characters that are in these games, we have a whole bunch of videos covering a bunch of those characters. So the whole idea behind this is to just fill you in now that the entire saga is complete. I hope you guys enjoy. This is a short and concise version, and keep in mind, it is already 50 minutes long. In December of 1999, Snake was called upon by Foxhound's new commander, Roy Campbell, for another mission. After defeating Big Boss, the one that was really Venom Snake, he took an early retirement and he left Foxhound shortly after the success of Outer Heaven. Roy told Snake that there is a new military nation rising called Zanzibar land, and they've kidnapped Dr. Kaio Marv. Dr. Kaio Marv developed a refining microbe able to produce mass quantities of oil, but was kidnapped before being able to unveil it. Roy also informed Snake that there might be the development of a new Metal Gear over there. Snake was able to sneak into Zanzibar land, and that's where he runs into Black Ninja, who, as we find out, is actually Snyder from the first game. After defeating him, Snake learns where Dr. Marv is being held, but he also finds out that Big Boss is back. Technically, he's not back. He's the actual Big Boss, since the one that died was Venom Snake. Snake reaches the cell where Dr. Marv is being held, but instead is contacted by Dr. Manir. Dr. Manir tells Snake that Dr. Marv has been moved to another location, and that there is in fact the development of another Metal Gear here. Snake makes his way over to Dr. Marv when he receives another call from Holly White. Holly is a CIA spy posing as a journalist but was captured when her cover was blown. After rescuing Holly and finding a pigeon that contains how to contact Dr. Marv, Snake finds out that Dr. Marv can only speak languages that Snake cannot. So Dr. Manir suggests getting Gustava, the STB bodyguard which was protecting Dr. Marv when they were both captured. After contacting Gustava, Snake ends up meeting back up with Manir, and then they all try to reach Dr. Marv. By the time they get close, a new Metal Gear shows up driven by Gray Fox, and it blows up the bridge that they are crossing and kills Gustava in the process. Before dying, Gustava gives Snake a key and Manir is taken off by soldiers. Snake finally manages to get across the bridge to Dr. Marv's cell, only to find him dead and Dr. Manir standing there. Holly calls up Snake to warn him that Dr. Manir was a double agent who defected and went to Zanzibar land to work on the new Metal Gear willingly. So Snake and Dr. Manir battle, but Snake prevails and then gets the formula that allows people to make oil that happens to be hidden in the MSX game cartridge. Before dying, Manir tells Snake the way to defeat the Metal Gear is, you guessed it, blowing its legs up again. Snake travels further into the fortress to confront Gray Fox and destroy the Metal Gear, and that's when they have a fist fight to end things once and for all. Ultimately, Snake wins out over Gray Fox, and when he asked why he joined Big Boss, Gray Fox tells him it's because Big Boss rescued him twice before, so he chose to follow him. In the next room, Big Boss is waiting for the final fight, again. The fist fight with Gray Fox left Snake with nothing to fight back with, but he was able to get a lighter and a spray can to use as a weapon. Using them as a flamethrower, he was able to win by spraying Big Boss with fire, and then he escapes with Holly. After everything that happened, Snake was going to have a nice Christmas dinner with Holly, but she never showed up. A lot of time had passed, but in February of 2005, Solid Snake was called upon again in Metal Gear Solid. This time it was to infiltrate Shadow Moses. Shadow Moses was an old nuclear weapons disposal facility that had become a stronghold for the rogue unit of Foxhound led by Liquid Snake. The unit threatened to launch a nuclear strike on the US unless they were given the remains of Big Boss recovered from the Zanzibar land incident. Helping Snake through the mission was Roy Campbell. After the Zanzibar land incident, Roy retired from Foxhound, but was brought back after Liquid took command and led the revolt on Shadow Moses. Snake's job was to find out if they really had the capability to launch a nuke, and rescue Arms Tech President Kenneth Baker and DARPA Chief Donald Anderson. Signet, if you were paying attention earlier. After getting inside, Snake locates Donald Anderson's cell where he confirms that Liquid does have the ability to launch a nuke from a new Metal Gear Rex that is being developed right here. Anderson tells Snake that there are 2 detonation codes needed from himself, and Liquid already has Anderson's code. But Anderson tells Snake that there is another way to deactivate it with 3 keycards. However, as Snake was about to get Anderson out of there, Anderson ended up having a heart attack and he dies before escaping. Over in the next cell was Meryl, Campbell's niece, but she was able to escape her cell as Snake leaves Anderson's. Snake and Meryl talk for a moment before getting attacked by soldiers, and Meryl gets away, but Snake continues his journey into the lower floors looking for Kenneth Baker, and he finds him strapped to a pillar set with C4. Before Snake is able to help Baker, Ocelot comes out to confront Snake, and they have a short duel before the cyborg ninja cuts off Ocelot's hand and the wires holding Baker. Ocelot and cyborg ninja leave, and Snake helps Baker, and this is where Baker tells Snake that Meryl has the override keys to disarming Rex. Baker also gave Snake the Rex launch launch data and told him to find Hal Emmerich, who has been helping develop the new Metal Gear. But before Snake can get Baker out, Baker suffers a heart attack in the same way that Anderson did. Snake begins his journey to find Dr. Hal Emmerich, and in his journey to find him, he's confronted by the cyborg ninja. Snake and the cyborg have a battle where the cyborg gets away, and that's when Snake notices that the cyborg was actually Gray Fox. Naomi told Snake that Gray Fox was kept alive after their fight back at Zanzibar land. He was an experiment in gene therapy that was led by Dr. Clark, the paramedic from Metal Gear Solid 3. But both Dr. Clark and Gray Fox supposedly died in an explosion 2 years ago. Snake then talks to Hal Emmerich, who talks about Metal Gear Rex, but he never knew was going to be equipped with a nuclear weapon to be used as a defense against nukes. Snake then leaves to find Meryl, who has the override keys, but he finds that she only has one of them. So Snake and Meryl start to go to the hangar where Rex is, but they are stopped by Psycho Mantis, the third child from Phantom Pain. Snake actually defeats Psycho Mantis by changing the controller that his port is in, and then he tells them to go to a secret passage to find the Metal Gear. While going through the passage, Sniper Wolf injures Meryl, and Snake has a sniper duel with Sniper Wolf. After thinking that he's won, Snake and Meryl get captured by Sniper Wolf. Snake wakes up in a torture device where he finally meets Liquid face to face along with Ocelot and Sniper Wolf. Snake finds out that Liquid needs Big Boss's body to correct the Genome Soldier's mutations from the gene therapy conducted on them. They are all going to die if they don't. But then Liquid leaves the torture room after receiving a message that the US isn't going to respond to their demands, and he leaves to tend to the nuclear launch preparations. Sniper Wolf also leaves Ocelot to torture Snake for more information. Ocelot takes the launch data given to him by Baker, and he tells Snake that if he can outlast the torture, Meryl will live. Snake is able to overcome the torture, although if you're playing the game, you do have the option to submit, allowing Meryl to die. The timeline states that Meryl lives, and then Snake wakes up in another cell with the body of Donald Anderson, and Snake notices that this body has been dead for a while. Snake is able to fool the guard into checking in on him, but soon runs into Liquid Snake piloting a Hind D as he shoots out a bridge that Snake needed to cross. So, Snake has to climb down. He goes through a snowfield where he fights Sniper Wolf again, but this time he actually wins. And continuing on to where Rex is being held, Snake runs into Vulcan Raven, which he also defeats, but that's when the reveal that the Donald Anderson that Snake originally met wasn't actually Donald Anderson. It was another member of the Foxhound group known as Decoy Octopus. Miller contacts Snake to tell him that Naomi may also be a spy and suggests that Campbell needs to arrest her and find out what she knows. When reaching the control room for Rex, Autogon contacts Snake to tell him that he hacked into Baker's computer and learned that the override key acted as 3 different keys based on temperature. While Snake is getting the key to change to different temperatures, Miller once again contacts Snake to ask about Naomi and about the deaths of Baker and Decoy Octopus, about how they are very close to what Fox Die was supposed to do. Roy then comes up on the comm to tell him that Naomi has been arrested. After getting the key ready for the last input, Naomi calls Snake and tells her that she was in fact a spy, and she ended up injecting Snake with the Fox Die that would end up killing him as well. Her reasoning is that she wanted to get revenge against Snake for what he did to Frank Yeager, aka Gray Fox, because as she explains, he was her foster brother. But the call was cut short when Roy comes in and detains her again. Then suddenly, Miller calls Snake to reveal that he is actually Liquid Snake, and he tricked Snake into activating the launch for Rex because he could never get the codes. Finally, Solid Snake is to confront Liquid Snake, and Solid Snake is told that he was being used by the Pentagon to carry the Fox Die virus so that they could easily cover up the whole Genome Soldier situation and get Rex. The Fox Die virus specifically targets certain individuals to kill them, and it was specifically targeted to kill all of the Genome Soldiers, Foxhound, and then Solid Snake himself. Liquid continues to tell Snake that they are actually clones, and that he's angry because Solid Snake received the dominant genes and stole the chance of killing Big Boss from him. With Rex armed, Liquid climbs up inside, and Snake now has to destroy it. Autogon tells Snake that the weakness of Rex is the Ray Dome, which allows the pilot to see while inside of it. Snake wasn't able to damage the Ray Dome, but that's when Gray Fox comes out of nowhere, destroying it, exposing Liquid Snake. Gray Fox then attempts to take down Rex, but he gets crushed by the foot of the Metal Gear, and Snake has to use missiles to destroy it. In the fight though, Snake is knocked unconscious, and he wakes up tied to the top of the Metal Gear, and that's when Snake also notices that Meryl is there too. Roy Campbell calls in to tell Snake that a nuclear strike is on its way to destroy the facility. Liquid then tells Snake more about the cloning project, and he also mentions that the Genome Soldiers here are also affected by the disease, and they need Big Boss's DNA to cure it. Campbell then calls in to tell Snake that the Pentagon is fed up with all of this, and they've launched a nuclear strike in to destroy the entire facility. He will try and buy them some time though. He then continues to tell Solid Snake that he is sorry that he lied to him, that he knew information about this mission, and he had to keep it quiet to ensure Meryl's safety. But before Campbell could do anything, Campbell was arrested by Jim Houseman, the Secretary of Defense. Jim told Solid Snake that the facility will be destroyed with him and Liquid inside of it unless he gives him the launch data for Rex. Snake couldn't give it to him though because Ocelot took it during the torture session. So Jim closed contact. Finally, the fight between Liquid and Solid Snake begins, with Snake being able to knock Liquid off of the head of Rex into a long fall. Snake was able to get to Meryl and the two of them escaped on a Jeep. However, Liquid didn't die from the fall and he soon chased after them. Eventually, after crashing into each other, Snake and Meryl become trapped underneath the Jeep and Liquid comes up to them holding his gun. But before he can pull the trigger, he ends up clutching his heart and dying a fox die. Campbell then calls up to tell Solid Snake that Houseman has been arrested, and the bombers that were on their way to blow up Shadow Moses have been called back. Snake then called in a rescue for Autogon, and he spoke with Naomi, who told him not to worry about the fox die, just live. She doesn't know when it'll kill him. So Snake and Meryl rode off into the Alaskan wilderness. However, Ocelot escaped with the Rex data and can be heard speaking with the President of the United States. And Donald Anderson was actually killed on purpose because he found out about Ocelot's dual identity and his motives, but Foxdie will continue to work as planned. Next up is Metal Gear Solid 2. In 2007, after the prior event, Snake became somewhat of a hero with the Shadow Moses event. Him and Hal Emmerich found out that there could be another Metal Gear being made, and they decided to infiltrate the tanker that was supposedly moving this Metal Gear. Snake runs into Ocelot there, who now has Liquid's arm fused to replace the one that was cut off by Frank Yeager in Shadow Moses. And somehow, due to this, he's taking on the persona of Liquid Snake. On this journey, Snake did in fact find out that there was another Metal Gear named Ray on this tanker, but Ocelot stole it and got away with it, blowing up the tanker on his way out. During the destruction of the tanker, there were photos taken by a US Cypher flying drone, which the Patriots used to make Snake look like the bad guy that bombed the tanker. Now a Solid Snake assumed dead and shown as a villain, Snake used this as cover until he was ready to strike back. Later in April of 2009, Snake came back under the name of Pliskin, and he helped Raiden as Snake found out that there was another Metal Gear being made at a facility known as Big Shell. Snake later ran into the terrorist that was posing as him, Solid as Snake, and later with the help of Autogon and Emma, Snake and Raiden would upload Emma's virus into the George Washington AI that was aboard the new Metal Gear, Arsenal Gear. Shortly after Snake would be captured by a member of Dead Cell, Fortune. Once Fortune took Snake to the top of Arsenal Gear, Ocelot would reveal what his actual plans were, but at that moment, the Liquid Snake persona would once again gain control of Ocelot. Liquid Snake, using the body of Ocelot, then leaked information about Arsenal Gear to Snake in hopes of luring him back out, but then he later escaped using Metal Gear Ray. Snake would then place a tracking device on Ray, and after Raiden had defeated Solidus, Snake would sneak off. And finally, Metal Gear Solid 4. In 2014, Snake was now referred to as Old Snake, and he came back for one final mission. We start by seeing Snake in a cemetery saluting the grave of the boss, the same way that Big Boss once did. Snake is rapidly aging, and Snake and Autogon are unsure why. They are working with doctors to try and figure it out, but each time the doctors come up with nothing. Snake boards a helicopter and he meets back up with Roy Campbell to tell Snake that he has found him. They have found Liquid Snake. After the events of the Manhattan incident, Liquid Snake, now kind of going by the name Liquid Ocelot, managed to get away with Arsenal Gear, and he began to build up a mercenary company, Outer Heaven, which consisted of 5 of the world's largest PMC groups, private military companies. Roy Campbell had been working with the UN on a committee that had been monitoring the PMC activity, and he came across Liquid Ocelot in the Middle East. So, Roy contacted Old Snake and Autogon to carry out an assassination on Liquid. Snake would use the cover of a UN inspector to make contact with a group investigating the PMCs. Snake suited up and headed off for the Middle East. He sneaks onto one of the bases that Liquid is using, but he had to run after being spotted by a gecko, a large unmanned walking tank. Drebin explains that the PMCs use guns with ID locks on them, and to use them, Snake will need to be injected with a nanomachine suppressor to use them. Snake is not sure about it at first, but Autogon explains that they may just have to trust Drebin for now, and Snake receives the injection. Shortly after that, Snake meets up with his contact, who happens to be Meryl, the commander of Rat Patrol 01. Meryl begins to explain the Sons of the Patriot system, and how the Sons of the Patriot system allow the PMC groups to act as a single group by sharing their emotions among everyone, and they share this information between the entire group. This allows even the newest member to act as a seasoned veteran. Meryl then hints that there is also an assassin in the area trying to stop the PMC's leader, but Snake shrugs that one off. Soon after, the group begins to move out to where the PMC camp is located, and they briefly see the Beauty and the Beast Corporation, a group of women soldiers with unique combat abilities. Once inside the camp, Snake sees Liquid and he begins to close in. And just before he can take his shot, Snake whispers over a walkie-talkie to activate it. Suddenly, all of the PMCs, including the Rat Patrol, begin to lose their minds, and we see that Liquid has deactivated the Sons of the Patriot system. In doing so, all of the soldiers begin to feel all of the emotions, and they are unable to control themselves, fighting amongst themselves. Snake begins to get affected by this as well when suddenly somebody walks up and Liquid leaves. Snake looks up to see Naomi there and she gives him an injector with her own nanomachines, but just before Snake can pass out, Akiba of the Rat Patrol comes over to help Snake make an escape. Back at the mission briefing room aboard the Nomad, Autogon receives an encrypted video from Naomi telling him and Snake how Liquid is trying to use the Sons of the Patriots system to control everyone and she needs to be rescued. Naomi is being held in a research facility in South America, being forced to help Liquid Snake because she did help create the nanomachines that the military and the PMCs are using. Snake and Autogon fly to the El Dorado airport with the help of Campbell, so Snake can sneak in and rescue Naomi. Once getting inside of the research facility, Snake makes contact with Naomi, and she explains that what Snake saw back in the Middle East was a test that Liquid did by turning off the Sons of the Patriots system to see how everyone would react to it. But now, he wanted to control it. Naomi also began to run tests on Snake to try and discover why he's aging, and she explains that the fox dye inside of him has begun to mutate, and that virus will no longer only target specific genes, but it will start targeting everyone that he comes in contact with, potentially causing a worldwide epidemic. The rapid aging is also a result of the cloning that Snake was a product of. Snake was meant to have a short life so that he could not be used at a later time if ever captured. Snake asked that if he was to die, would the virus die with him, and Naomi confirmed that if he died, the virus would die, stopping the worldwide epidemic. Now Snake has to stop Liquid Ocelot from controlling everyone thanks to the Sons of the Patriot system, and he has to somehow keep himself alive long enough to do that, then either kill himself or let himself die. Boy, things just never seem to work out for Solid Snake. Before long, Snake is ambushed by the first member of the Beauty and the Beast Corporation, Laughing Octopus, but Snake was easily able to defeat her. Liquid's private military companies then took Naomi before the fight, but with the help of Drebin, Snake is able to rescue Naomi, but he ended up crashing Drebin's vehicle as they get surrounded by geckos. However, that's when Raiden arrives, standing along the rooftops, and he easily defeats the geckos using his new robotic ninja abilities, entering into a fight with Vamp at the end of it. Raiden is able to defeat Vamp, but not before taking major injury, taking him out of the majority of the rest of the fight. Snake and Naomi are able to board a helicopter to get them out, and as they're leaving, Raiden jumps aboard. Once they get back to the Nomad, Raiden tells Snake to seek out Big Mama and her resistance in Europe because she has the remains of Big Boss. Roy Campbell sets up another contact in Europe so that Snake can avoid more PMC checkpoints. And once they reach the proper checkpoint, Meryl comes out as his contact, once again pulling Snake from being scanned. Meryl is now the head of a PMC military group trying to take down Liquid, and she says that she's going to have to take him down by force. However, Snake is just there to kill Liquid Snake and tells Meryl that rushing in won't bring Liquid down. Snake begins to follow Resistance members and eventually reaches Big Mama, and she reveals herself to be Ava, as well as the mother of Solid Snake and Liquid Snake. She was the spy that Big Boss met up with way back in Metal Gear Solid 3. She further explains the story and the struggle between Big Boss and Zero, telling Snake how Zero created an AI network to run the Patriots. There were 4 AIs, each named after a president, and 1 master AI. But one of those AIs, George Washington, was destroyed in the events of Metal Gear Solid 2. Zero also recovered the body of Big Boss after Snake defeated him in Zanzibar land. But after giving him medical treatment, they injected Big Boss with nanomachines that would keep him alive, but in a mostly brain-dead state. And that's when Raiden helped recover Big Boss's body, as it was the key to locating where the master AI was. That's why Raiden sent Solid Snake to Europe to meet up with Big Mama to discover where Big Boss's body was, so that they can discover where the master AI was, so that they can go ahead and stop Liquid Ocelot from ruling the world. But before long, Autogon calls to tell Snake that Naomi went missing again after they returned from Dr. Madnar to get help for treating Raiden. But Liquid's PMCs then started to close in, causing everyone to flee. Ava and Snake rode away on Ava's motorcycle, but the second member of the Beauty and the Beast Corporation, Raging Raven, causes them to crash into a building, and Ava gets impaled in the process. Snake is of course able to defeat Raven, and then he escapes with the injured Ava through the sewers, and then they end up at the location where Big Boss's body is supposedly at. That's when they see their boat holding Big Boss's body was destroyed by Liquid, along with Vamp and Naomi standing there. Liquid begins to tell Snake about how he's going to destroy the Master AI so that he can take over all of the other Patriot AIs so that he can build a world free of control. After Liquid explains his plans, Meryl gathers her forces and they begin to surround him as he's trying to escape. But just as the troops are about to open fire on Liquid, he takes control of the Sons of the Patriot system again, causing everyone around to be flooded with emotions and start shooting everyone on sight. During the firefight, Johnny takes Meryl and they both escape off of the boat just as Liquid blows it up. Liquid throws back the body of Big Boss and Ava tries to grab it, but Snake has to grab her hand to prevent her from dying, and then a final shot from Liquid causes an explosion to go up, burning the both of them. Snake pulls Ava out of the water, but soon after she dies from her injuries, while Johnny is lifting Meryl out of the water and resuscitating her. At that moment, Drebin shows up to rescue everyone. During the next mission briefing, Autogon plays the video that he was able to get off of Liquid Ocelot when the MK2 stowed away on his getaway boat. Liquid finally located the Master AI on a satellite and plans to use Metal Gear Rex to launch a nuke that the Patriots cannot detect to destroy it to gain full control over the Patriots' AI. With the Patriots having full control over the military, the one thing that they can't control is Metal Gear Rex, as all of the information on it was destroyed or changed in the events of Metal Gear Solid 1. This brings everyone back to Shadow Moses, where Metal Gear Solid 1 started, and Snake goes there and finds out that Metal Gear Rex is still located in the hangar below. While making his way down to the hangar, Snake fights and defeats the third of the Beauty and the Beast Corporation, Crying Wolf, and once he gets inside of the hangar, he sees that they didn't need all of Rex, just the railgun, and that's when he gets confronted by Vamp and Naomi in the process. Vamp tells Snake that the Suicide Gecko are on their way and they will fight him until they have all gathered to destroy the hangar. After a short fight, Snake injects Vamp with the nanomachine suppressors that Naomi gave him all the way back in the research facility, and Raiden comes in to continue the fight. Autogon, using the MK3, begins working on trying to get Rex back up and running while Snake fights off the Gecko trying to destroy everything. Raiden finally defeats Vamp and Autogon blows up some of the entrances to slow down the Gecko. A short time later, Naomi shows up and explains that Liquid is going to launch the nuke off of Arsenal Gear, also known as Outer Haven. Naomi also explains that Vamp had the help of nanomachines to basically speed up his healing factor, and with the injection that Snake gave him, he can finally die. Now with Vamp gone, Naomi continues to explain that she also has the healing nanomachines, but now it is her time to die as well. Naomi had cancer and the nanomachine stopped the progression, but once she injected herself with the nanomachine suppressor, she too fell and passed away. Snake and Raiden hop aboard Rex and they begin to make their escape, but before leaving, Raiden jumps off to allow Snake to get away. The Gecko self-destructs, trapping Raiden, but before Snake can respond, Liquid comes out of the waters in the Metal Gear Ray. Liquid and Snake have their fight in their two Metal Gears, but Snake soon wins, but not without taking a lot of damage to himself in the process. Liquid begins to escape back to the rising Outer Haven, and Snake begins to chase after him with a broken leg and arm, and once aboard, Liquid starts to drive the boat into the pier that Snake is on. He sees his end. There's no way to stop this, is there? Raiden finally frees himself by cutting off his right arm, and he tries to rescue Snake, but Snake starts to lose hope and allows the boat to begin crashing in. Raiden comes in to try and hold Outer Haven back, literally getting in front of it and trying to stop the boat. He buys enough time to allow Mei Ling to stop Liquid's advancement, but Raiden is crushed in the process. Liquid manages to get away and Autogon flies in to rescue Snake, and at their next mission briefing, Snake and everyone begin their plan of attack for Outer Haven. The mission will be to jump aboard Outer Haven when it surfaces, infecting the AI with a virus. However, the only problem is that the AI is protected by basically a giant microwave, and anyone who goes in will most likely die while trying to get in. All of the data that they have on Outer Haven was given to them by Naomi while she was aboard the Nomad with Autogon, and she began to develop a virus that would infect the AI but was not able to finish it. Sunny came in and continued where she left off, and Sunny used the data from Autogon's sister to complete the rest of the worm cluster that they will use to stop the AI. Everyone begins to get ready and they jump aboard Outer Haven when it begins to get ready to fire the nuke at the Master AI. A group will go in to infect the AI that is on Arsenal Gear, and Mei Ling will try to provide support fire to damage the gun that's going to be attacking the Master AI. The group launching into Outer Haven will be Snake, Meryl, and Johnny, but during the jump in, the three of them get separated. Once he gets deeper, Snake meets up with Meryl but gets confronted by the final member of the Beauty and the Beast Corps, Screaming Mantis. Screaming Mantis begins to control Meryl and Johnny frees her, but ends up taking a few shots when they get surrounded. Snake manages to defeat the soldiers and Screaming Mantis, but before everything is over, Psycho Mantis makes a quick comeback, but due to the PlayStation's advancement, doesn't get very far. Snake begins to make his way deeper and deeper while Meryl and Johnny decide to stay back and provide backup, but at this point, Johnny feels it's a great time to ask Meryl to marry him. But Meryl prefers to do things her way and kind of forces herself on Johnny and tells him to marry her, which then the two kiss and they continue killing everyone. While Snake is trying to get closer to the server room, he collapses, and Raiden, with no arms at this point, comes in to fend off attacks until Snake can get back up. Raiden says that he can continue to endure the microwaves, but Snake tells him that Raiden has a life to go back to. Go back to that life. Raiden finally allows Snake to go on and defends him while Snake makes his way to the server. Liquid begins his attack on everyone while Snake is painfully crawling through the microwave room. After his suit breaks apart and his body is cooking, Snake is finally able to make his way into the server room with Autogon, but everyone is starting to be overwhelmed by Liquid's numbers. Snake fights off what he can while Autogon is finally finishing uploading the virus. And as the virus is uploaded, everything begins to stop. The soldiers, the machines, Metal Gear Ray, all of it, but it doesn't just stop at things connected to this AI. The virus is spreading to the other AIs. A video of Naomi shows up explaining that the Patriots were going to affect more than just the military. They were going to infect the entire population and they needed to be stopped. So she says her goodbyes to Hal for the last time in this video and tells Snake that he's finally earned his rest before he finally closes his eyes. Snake then opens his eyes, but he finds himself on top of Outer Haven when Liquid begins to walk up and begins to explain his plan. Liquid wanted to have the Patriots destroyed to allow for a time just like before Big Boss, a world that was out of the grasp of the Philosophers or Zero or any secret organization. Liquid then injects Snake with more suppressors so that the two of them can finally have their long-awaited battle. The two of them begin to fight, trading blow for blow with no one winning, beating each other up over and over as Snake fights all forms of Liquid, from Liquid's personality to Liquid Ocelot to finally Ocelot himself. Finally, Snake defeats Ocelot, and with the trademark, "You're pretty good," Ocelot passes away. The day of Meryl and Johnny's wedding finally comes, and Campbell is able to reconcile with Meryl before walking her down the aisle. As the two are about to kiss, Drebin showers everyone with flowers and champagne, and Sonny asks where Snake is, as Otagon turns away, and Campbell says thank you. Raiden wakes up with a new prosthetic body while Rose comes to visit. At first, Raiden wanted nothing to do with her until she told him that the boy that she brought with her was actually his. She explains that the marriage to Campbell was only to protect her and her son Johnny from the Patriots until he finished this mission. Now with everything over, they can finally begin their new lives as a family. With everything finally coming to an end, Snake can complete his final mission. He goes to the grave of Big Boss with his gun, holding a single bullet. He still has the virus in him that will cause an epidemic. He has to kill himself. And as he falls to his knees and he holds the gun in his mouth, we fade to black and hear a single gunshot. Back at Meryl's wedding, Drebin explains how everything was a part of a giant plan set in motion by the Patriots. Drebin was sent in to assist Snake in defeating Liquid because now Liquid posed a threat. Afterwards, Sonny asks if she's going to see Snake again, and Otagon tells her that he's sick and he's gone somewhere to get better. And as the game credits finally begin, our story isn't over yet. Snake couldn't do it, he couldn't shoot himself, and he hears someone tell him, "That's good. It's not his time yet." And we finally see that Big Boss is actually alive and brought the brain-dead Zero with him. Big Boss tells Solid that the body Liquid burned wasn't Big Boss. It was actually the body of Solidus. Big Boss explains that when the Patriots recovered his body, they kept him in a sort of brain-dead state with nanomachines, and that the only way that he could wake up is if the system had been stopped. By stopping the AIs, Big Boss was finally able to wake up. Ava recovered his body long ago, and she used parts of Solidus and Liquid to rebuild him, but she was still unable to wake him from the nanomachines. Big Boss continues to explain how Zero used the AIs to maintain order, but one day the Master AI began to change. Originally designed to carry out the Boss's original idea of a united world state, it mutated and began controlling the world economy to fund itself and control things. After explaining how everything started with Zero, Big Boss stops the life support controlling Zero, allowing him to finally pass on. Big Boss further explains that there is a new Fox-Die virus injected into Snake by Drebin to kill Ava, Ocelot, and even Big Boss. The effects of the new virus began to take effect on Big Boss, and Snake helps him over to the boss's grave. He tells Snake that the new virus is now inside of him, and is uprooting and replacing the old virus, so Snake won't become a biological weapon like he thought that he would be. Making his way to the boss's grave, finally, Big Boss sees what the boss wanted. It's not about changing the world. It's about doing our best to leave it the way it was while respecting the will of others, while believing in your own ideals. Big Boss then gives his final salute to the boss before collapsing on her grave. And he tells Snake that he is no longer a prisoner of fate, a seed of war. So now he can see the world and live for himself. Finally, he takes one last puff of his cigar and he tells Snake, "This is good, isn't it?" And he finally passes away. And that brings us to the end of Metal Gear, the entire saga from Big Boss's point of view. Now, just because of how convoluted and complex this game is, we may have missed a minor detail here and there, but overall, I feel like we covered the majority of the things you need to know so that you can understand this game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what other games you want us to do these giant recaps for. We're already working out one for Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. Even though we did them a long time ago, we want to do a giant recap for you. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at EligibleMonster and subscribe to the channel to get more recaps, more lore, more comic books, more Let's Plays. We do it. We're a gaming variety channel. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you next time right here.